We're talking markets with Tommy Grisafi from Advanced Trading, ATI ProMedia. Tommy, as always, appreciate the chance to connect and talk about this trade. And as we look at this grain market, it seems spooky quiet. What's happening in this marketplace?
I don't know, and not in the sense that I have to know the answer to every question, but we've just come through one of the most volatile times in agricultural grain history, whether it be from when corn went to the very low threes in futures price to something in cash during COVID. That wasn't that long ago, 3 years ago, to where we are now. And the grain markets, the corn market in particular, and wheat are coming into what we would call like more of a normal pattern. Look at it like a flight pattern that you take off here, you land there. Well, with Ukraine war and various droughts and weather scenarios across the world, we had so many wrenches thrown in the fire. But we're coming into more of a normal pattern where people are planting crops and something's showing up, and a little bit more showing up than there are people on the back end to buy it. And so what's happening is, I guess I can answer your question, is things are getting back to normal. Is it, will it be busy next week? Yeah, very, very well likely might be with the crop report and harvest and everything else. But just when we think things are getting back to normal, you have problems still with the Mississippi River and other things like that. So more of a normalization in the futures market. Cash markets are calming down. And what that means is less volatility and just not as exciting of a time, Don.
We do have that supply demand report. This will be the first time really where we've got USDA out with boots in the ground and able to see what's actually in these fields. Particularly in a drought year like this, that's got to have some significance here in this month of September.
It it, it does. And if the USDA doesn't come out with a bullish number, the farmer's going to be mad. But there's a back part of that. Is that it's not, was the crop perfect? Was the crop a record crop? Really, the answer is, and what the market's going to say was, did we produce enough to just get by? Because the rest of the world's doing a great job producing too. And Russia's flooding the market with wheat. Just, and although other countries say they don't like Russia, when it comes to buying cheap food, they like them just fine.
So obviously, our production going to be impacted by drought. It does seem like places like Brazil and Argentina, they're stepping up to fill that void.
Yeah, as fast as the market stay uh, a bunch above cost production, the people go plant them. Look what happened in North Dakota last year in sunflowers. Remember how the price of sunflowers went absolutely crazy? Canola went crazy. What did people do? They planted a ton of sunflowers and canola and evened that out, not only in North Dakota, but in Canada and across the world. And it's amazing that prices are as low as they are, and we still have the Ukraine war. I find that fascinating, Don.
So do we have old crops still sitting out in the bin?
Unfortunately, some people watching this video, they just had a birthday party for grain because as those SEP futures and SEP options come off the board, that cash market, we have rolled to the new year. And I talk to people daily who are like, hey, I'm going to sell my last 10,000 bushels of corn. That corn was tens of thousands of dollars higher just a few months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. And that's what I'm talking about as we talk about coming to this new normal, this normalization of the markets. It's really scary that there are people out there that could have sold corn with a seven in front of it who are selling it in the lower fours because they blended that old crop with that new crop. And that actual corn kernel, we joke it had a birthday, but it doesn't have a year written on it. So you could have corn in your bin that's from 20, 21, 22, 23. And to be honest with you, Don, I'll tell you, there are always stories out there of the guy who stored 3 years worth of crop and the market went up and he sold it all at the high. But there's a lot more sad, quiet stories of where people never tell you that they're just leaking old crop to the market. There's still plenty of old crop out there.
We like to pay attention to what's going on with the general economy. Mortgage rates, what are we seeing there, Tommy?
I got it written down 7.62 today, my friend. That is not good. 7.62% on the 30-year mortgage, highest level since 2000. Worse than that is applications for mortgage rates at 30-year lows. The job of the Fed was to calm the markets. When it comes to commercial real estate, home real estate, it's working. It is really stopping people from expanding. and
So what's
growing. And
happening on the farm when we take a look at the impact of those interest rates?
you're still seeing land prices trade at some really great prices. I can't go out there and tell everyone who ever thought about selling to maybe sell a little, because in 2, 3 years we may be way through here. And I'm not a farmland expert, but I can tell you this from that the fact that there's an asset like a commercial real estate and there's a cost of what it takes to borrow to buy a high rise and the cost of what it takes to build your mini high rise called your home. I don't know why land prices wouldn't be too far behind this. There's so much cash right now in the agricultural system, but a few years of low prices should really nip the land market and what it'll look like. And I can tell you this, and look right in this camera, what it'll look like, Don, is that you'll talk to our auction friends, and I like to watch Iowa and Illinois, really in particular Iowa. I have a couple of good friends who track Iowa land prices. And what'll happen is you'll see that there's an auction this week, an auction next week, 3 auctions, 6 auctions, 7 auctions. And you start to see a couple things because people set a bid like, I want $12,000 for my land. I'm not taking anything under that. You'll see some no sales. When you start seeing land hit the market and you see no sales, then all the other people who were thinking about selling will try to go sell. And so right now it feels like for every person who wants to sell a piece of ground, there's a buyer there. That's like a nice market. It's like corn, a green, it's $5. Corn's $5. A buyer wants to buy it, it's $5. Someone wants to sell it, it's $5. But when everybody rushes in to sell and then the buyers pull their hand down, that would look like a limit down day in the corn market. I believe land prices in the next few years will have that type of move. The good news is they're at such high prices that it'll still be okay. If great Iowa farm ground went from 16,000 an acre to 12,000 and your family owns it from $1,000 an acre, did you really go broke? You just could have had more money. And I'll tell you what, I'm rambling. If people did sell 1,000 acres at 16,000 acre, they would just totally be upset that they owed money on taxes. So
Yeah.
better that we do pull back a little bit in land prices and give that young farmer a chance to go really big into debt.
What about on the machinery side of things, farm equipment, Tommy?
It's interesting, Don, because Machinery Pete, and I'll double check, I'll send it to my clients again, and I'll send you the article. But Machinery Pete and clients I work with said that the price of used combines has come down tremendously from where it was just a year ago. There were people fighting over what we would almost consider a junky piece of equipment that has seemed to normalize. And if you need a used piece of equipment, they're out there now. Now, the new stuff is still expensive. You want a new pickup, still expensive. One new combine's still expensive, but the old stuff seems to really have calmed down in price.
We always like to talk about what's happening in D.C., and frankly, there isn't a lot. The Senate came back this week. The House will come back on Tuesday, and we've got a lot of work to get done between now and then. There's like 12 appropriations bills that need to be finalized. USDA's spending the funding bill is stuck in the House Rules Committee, and the Farm Bill expires at the end of September. So there's a heavy lift that needs to get done between now and the end of the month. Obviously, a continuing resolution is going to happen likely till the end of this year.
So that's what you report out of DC, that nothing's happening in DC, right?
Yeah.
And just like the market's done, you and I, before we did the show, we're like, what are we going to talk about? I go, boy, is it slow. Let's talk about being slow. What's going on in DC? Nothing's going on in DC. Leaves us with the Mississippi River, the Panama Canal, and that there is going to be a harvest. So no matter how bullish someone is, we are going to have harvest, and harvest pressure here is going to hit here pretty quick.
Yeah, we're having beans being harvested right now in our region already, and some of those early beans, corn's being chopped for silage. A lot of activities happening out in these fields. Of course, next week, Tommy, is Big Iron, the Big Iron Farm Show in West Fargo. You're going to be on our Red River Farm Network stage on Wednesday, 1:30. So, sure hope folks will join us for those sessions. We live stream all those programs.
That'd be great. I'll send it to clients and post it on social media. You always have a good group there. It could be different this year, though, with how fast this crop has dried down, in particularly North Dakota and other parts. This heat, we didn't just have one heat wave; we had another round of heat wave last weekend. And from what I understand now, you guys are cooler, and it feels more like fall around you. And you've all caught some rain here in the last few days.
Yeah, we caught a good inch, some up to 2 inches here earlier in the week, and some heat early this week. But yeah, it has moderated. Big iron time, we should be looking at low 70s, so it should be real comfortable for the folks that are out there kicking tires.
Well, I look forward to meeting everyone in person, not just hanging out here in my basement.
Good deal. We appreciate that. We'll see you again next week, Big Iron Farm Show. Tommy will be on our stage, and we'll have a number of analysts joining us each day at 1:30 at the Red River Farm Network building at Big Iron. It's all going to be streamed as well, so look out for that. As always, Tommy, appreciate the chance to connect.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Tommy Grisafi, Advanced Trading, ATI, ProMedia.